Welcome to Off to Dialogue, and I'm talking to you from a lovely sea bath named Cleethorpes. Well, today it's not that lovely because it's November, but that's the way it is at the sea. Cleethorpes is located on the east coast of England, a 2.5 hours distance drive from Manchester, and I'm here because Cleethorpes hides a gem for every analog film collector. One of the last Super 8 shops, the Classic Home Cinema, run by Denise and Phil Sheard. I hope the pronunciation was right. So this is the second real analog film shop I'm able to visit, and I'm really looking forward to talk to Phil about their business. Well, Phil, first of all, a big thank you for taking the time for this interview.
It's great. I've heard a lot about you previously, so I'm pleased to get you here.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm blessed. Well, you and your wife are owners of Classic Home Cinema.
Yeah.
A shop selling analog film prints in various formats and equipment useful to the film collector.
Yeah.
Do you yourself have a passion for analog film?
Oh, yes, I have done since before 1960.
1960?
Yeah.
So what was the start?
It was Standard 8.
Standard 8?
Battery-powered projectors and so on. That's how it all got started.
So do you have a private collection also?
Oh, yes.
And how big is it?
Big.
Are you focused on a special topic or?
Well, I like black and white. I do enjoy black and white films, particular things like Laurel and Hardy, vintage animation, and 1940s film noir.
So would you say the enthusiasm for the medium that you developed in the 60s was the trigger for your professional decision doing Classic Home Cinema?
Well, I think the trigger was looking what other things people were doing with cinema, and I felt, as now, a lot of selling things but doing nothing for the hobby. Mm-hmm. I wanted to do more by offering not just film, things like parts that they needed, little bits and pieces to assist the hobby in general, not just sit back and take the money. That's always been my aim.
Mm-hmm. So you founded Classic Home Cinema.
Yeah.
In which year?
1988.
You and your wife have been the founders, right?
Yes, yeah.
How many branches did you have?
I've only ever had one at a time, but where we're sat now is a current shop, and that's the third shop that we've had, where, we've always had a premises to work from.
Mm-hmm. And where have been the other?
The others were local to this one, but each time we moved by a bigger premises.
Yeah, business growth.
Yeah.
What was the turnover in your shop at the best times?
It's difficult to say. I don't like to say too much, but about £100,000 a year.
Mm-hmm. And that was in the 80s or in the 90s?
No, I think the best times were probably the early 90s.
The early 90s?
Yeah.
Were there any other shops at that time specialized on analog film?
Well, of course, people like Duran were open and gave me a lot of assistance when I set up my business. I used to visit labs with Derek Simmons and things like that. And there were 2 or 3 other companies, but they have since closed down. And I believe we're the only true all-cine shop in the UK.
And nowadays, apart from you, are there any other suppliers of prints of analog film in the UK today?
For new prints made in the traditional manner, I don't think so. There are people who have started to sell the odd print, but they're not produced in volume. I think most of the ones that we see from other sources have been coming from video direct to film and just selling the odd copy. We produce all our releases by editing 35mm film and making a 16mm negative from that and then printing. That's quite expensive. So I don't think anyone else is doing that at all.
But there are other people selling used films in the UK, aren't there?
Oh yes, there are a number of people who are selling film, usually from home or the shed in the garden. I like to think that because we're here to stay, and we offer a warranty with anything we sell. Not many people can offer that or will offer that.
And how is the collector scene in the UK at the moment? Are there how is the market at the moment for you?
It's I think it changes with time. We are seeing a few more younger people look at it. Those people need money because it's expensive to do if you're a modern collector, to pick up prints of modern films and so on. But I think for the general enthusiasts, it's quite interesting and has been promoted a lot by the enthusiasts themselves. So that has resulted in a good group of people collecting films. I certainly have many hundreds of people on my mailing list. So that tells me that there is still an interest.
How old do you estimate is the average analog film collector?
Most of the film collectors, I think, are probably in their 60s or even 70s because they can't be bothered with the new formats. They like to tinker with the projector. There's a lot of that. But we are really selling nostalgia, you know, and nostalgia depends how old you are. And but I think a lot of the older ones like the projection equipment and the sound of the projector whirring in the background. Yeah, I like the cinema experience, which means a proper picture on a proper screen. I do find video projection, although it can be very good nowadays, it tends to lack a decent contrast on the screen, and that to me isn't good enough.
From the outside, the collector scene in the UK seems very active. What kind of activities are taking place here in the UK?
Well, this weekend we're going to an event, which is a sales convention, and 4 weeks ago I was at another one. So these are held throughout the year in the UK. I don't attend them all because some of them are not financially, for me anyway, financially viable, because it costs me a lot of money to drive across the country, get a hotel for the weekend and visit these events. So I've got to make it financially viable. Not all of them are, because they're not big enough. But there is a lot of enthusiasm there, and its enthusiasm is driven by groups of collectors who get together and organise small festivals of various kinds, and they are really fun to be among. You know, they've got some great lads out there, but they are really driving their own hobby and doing something about it. You've got to admire that.